Welcome to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. I was 2.6 seconds late to hit my little intro video here, Matt, and I'm like, damn it. This is one of the reasons that we love the quick fingers, as fat as they were, of Chad Forrester. He had those deft little quick fingers, but hopefully you guys and gals are off to a really good start this morning. We are going to have a lot of fun here on the Sports Carnival. Again, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios, Coach Kent Dernbach of the UWL Eagles. Matt will be joining us coming up this morning at 8:30. The Eagles have a postponed Whitewater WIAC playoff game coming up tomorrow over at the Mitchell Hall, and we thought that game was supposed to be yesterday, but fortunately, Matty Ice checked in with us here on the program and told us that the game had been postponed due to that wicked weather.
Well, I'm just going to say, brother, who knows if this weather's ever going to stop. So hopefully the game does play tomorrow night, because I'm not looking forward to going out there. The smartest thing I ever bought was a battery-powered snowblower. So
yes.
I'm looking forward to using that again today. So it is one of those days. It's that time of year again, my friend.
Yeah, it seems to be that time of year again. I'm pretty sure they'll get that thing straightened out for tomorrow night. Again, it's going to be a big-time game. Whitewater is going to be at the Eagles, and again, we'll talk to Kent Dernbach this morning at 8:30. I've been to a couple of Eagles games this year, one of them against Matt, UW Whitewater, and this was a really close game. I mean, it went down to the wire. The Eagles lost by just a couple of points. I want to say it was a 2-point ball game when all was said and done, maybe a 3-point ball game. My memory fails me just a little bit, but needless to say, it was a tough, physical, up and down the court basketball game, and I expect much of that tonight. Whitewater has a lot of size on that team. The Eagles are a great space and pace shooting team, a lot like the Warriors. The Whitewater team, the Warhawks, they've got a lot of size. So we'll talk to Coach Dernbach, as mentioned this morning, 8:30, and jump into some of that. You've asked me to tell you what song it is you're thinking of in the morning. See, this is interesting. Matt's like, you need to help me figure out what song it is I have on my mind. Like, partially, I would have zero idea about how to do that, but I will give it my best shot. I really will.
Well, I'm guessing I'm not the only one that wakes up with something in their mind every morning. So whether it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, especially for you and I that have voices in our minds every day of our lives, because
you're saying we're slightly demonized?
Just not that, but we also have to talk. So we have to, prepare, think, and then go for that. But then every morning, with being a somewhat DJ back in the day, weddings, some parties, and obviously in the bar business, I don't know how it happens. I haven't played a lot of country music. I love all types of music, unless it sounds like Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
But yeah, so I woke up with a mix mash of 2 country songs in my head this morning, and they're both from basically I believe it'd be the 80s and 90s combined. So it's been a painful morning for me myself, considering I haven't played these songs in over 5 to 10 years.
So one of them, though, that you kind of rattled off to me, I believe, was the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's Fishing in the Dark.
Yep.
That wasn't an 80s song. That was like a 60s song.
67, but I guess it became more popular with the younger kids nowadays. I don't want to go into the whole fucking pontoon red Solo Cup. Oh, don't get me started, because that shit'll come in my head in a heartbeat.
Like,
and if you're listening out there,
Solo Cup.
Yep. Sorry if Dave and I are doing this to you out there, because you're going to be humming along all fucking day along with us in our heads.
Oh, I like this, man. I like this. Listen, you know me. Between sports and music, I probably don't have any bigger loves. And music, movies would be a tertiary sort of a thing. So
okay.
Music, sports, movies, books. Then we get into other kinds of random interest, whether or not the moon landing was fake. That's something I think a lot about.
Guy.
No, I didn't say what conspiracy. I'm just using general logic.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, so you're telling me that I
believe we did land on the moon. Oh, shoot. Sorry.
See, and we were talking earlier about, do people understand how to work this technology?
I'm working on it.
Okay, so it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just a theory.
Yes.
Okay, listen. Yesterday we had a warning, and how many times did the internet go down at the bar yesterday? Which, by the way, was super busy. How many times? Went down 6 times. Okay. So you're telling me that in 1969 on the fucking moon, that we're back here, Walter Cronkite, hey, how's it going up there on the moon? Oh, just fine. Get the fuck out of here. And also with the stuff that they have in the Smithsonian, newspaper, cardboard, paper mache wrapped around this thing, and they can't get back to the moon since. Now, they'll tell you it's too expensive. Right. So technology in 1969, Matt, is not being used by like North Korea today. They don't have color TVs yet. Is that what you're telling me? That everybody in the world so far behind technology that they couldn't have figured out what we did in 1969. Now, this is something else pretty interesting. According to NASA, they lost the telemetry information from the moon landing. every single thing that would happen from something like that, a visit to an extraterrestrial body would be in like an envelope behind a sealed door in a vault somewhere. I don't know. Again, I know that people went up there. 12 people stepped on the moon over a course of 7 years, but it seems a little suspect. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It just seems a little suspect.
I'm just going to throw this out to you. Unfortunately, I don't think we have a lot of people in Elliott, Mississippi or Birmingham, Alabama listening because they're still fucking 50 years behind the times.
I've got some family in Birmingham.
But if they're listening, you understand what I'm saying. We talked about, we brought up comedians that we love, and you and I agree on George Carlin. One of the funniest things I watched the other day is Jim Jeffries, Australian comedian.
Sure.
Can tend to upset some people, but he went off how Neil Armstrong was going up there and he's looking at going up to the moon and he's carrying his fucking suitcases. You know how long it took to put wheels on suitcases? Jesus Christ. I'm just going to carry my bags. I'm going to go up to the moon, but I have no wheels on my effing suitcase.
Yeah, I don't know, bud. Listen, and again, Jason P1 Breacher, aka Soul Surfer, he and I have gotten into some very animated discussions. They weren't arguments, they're not heated, but we have gotten into animated discussions about this. There has been, I think, over the years, a number of things in which we can say this about with respect to the way that our government talks to us. I don't know what happened, but I know what happened wasn't that. Okay, so look at JFK. I don't know what happened with JFK, but what we all pretty much know didn't happen is what they told us at first. I don't know what happened on 9/11. I have no clue, but I kind of have a feeling that what they told us at first, which we found out, also wasn't very true. So my point is, where's the big win in them telling us that the moon landing wasn't a real thing? Where's the victory in that? There isn't one. And besides the fact, okay, if you could get there in 69, you could get there today. I just love how many complications there are with getting back there now.
I'm just happy. I'm happy we live in a country where we can actually go out there and question things without having to get shot, hung, or doing without the rest of the crap that's going on in this world. So at least we can question our government. That's one of the things that we are allowed to do. We don't have to believe everything. I have so many friends out there that do believe in conspiracy theories. I don't know if my buddy Pop, I'm not going to name your first name and last name, but he obviously believes that we never landed on the moon. So there are still things out there that some people tend to believe in, don't believe in. It's just what makes the world go around.
And listen, I have no belief on any of these things, right? Like, this is where I'm going with it. I have absolutely no idea. I really don't. They could convince me that it was real. So if NASA took me under their wing and showed me exactly what it was that went down and how it happened and how come they can't recreate it now, I would be willing to say, okay, you got me. But I could also be convinced otherwise. The point I'm making is, and this is where I go to something that I've told my son before. I don't know if he's ever paid attention, but I listened when somebody told me, the smartest person in the room, Matt, is the one who knows what he does not know. The smartest person in the room knows, I do not know X, Y, or Z, and therefore you leave yourself a very open mind. All I'm saying is, I have no fucking clue. But if you're telling me that paper mache, a couple of twigs, and some paper can get people back up and down, 12 people in 7 years, but now we just can't figure this thing out. All right, I'm just going to ask a couple questions. That's all. Just a couple questions.
I'm going to agree with you 100%. Obviously, John is at that age where he probably thinks he knows everything. And
so many things.
We're at our age where everything we know, we're still trying to figure it out. So that happens with life.
All right, well, good transition, because this morning I don't have moon landing questions for you guys and gals on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney or the Facebook group page, which is now over 371 members strong. Boom.
Trying to get to 400 as soon as possible, folks. Help us out.
Yes, and I've got something that may help us out in just a little bit. I'll tell you what that is. But first, I do have two questions. Again, nothing related to the moon landing or conspiracy theories. However, if the Packers move on from Aaron Rodgers and give the reins to Jordan Love, could the Packers make the playoffs next year? This is on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney. The way that you can answer this goes as follows. You betcha. Heck no, or it's a beautiful mystery. That's the question on our Twitter feed. All right, again, the Packers move on from Rodgers, go to Jordan Love. Could they make the NFL playoffs? Now, on our Facebook group page, Matt, a little bit different here, because I wanted to take a more general temperature of our audience members and ask them this. Who will be remembered as the greatest Packer quarterback of all time? Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, or somebody in the future? Because that's always something that we have to put in the realm of possibilities. Not likely, but possible. So that's the question for you guys and gals on our Facebook group page. Right now, Bart Starr is winning this poll 58%. Brett Favre, 26%. Rodgers, 16%.
I guess where I'm at on that is it's a generational thing. Where I'll go to basketball. Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is your favorite basketball player of all time, and I can understand that. He also has those stats. If we're going to Packer fans, Bart Starr, if the young kids out there that are listening, if have not done their due diligence and done the research, see what he accomplished, they should. Where we're at with Aaron Rodgers, he is not, in my opinion, not there yet. Never has been. If he comes back, they win another one. He has a chance. In my opinion, he's not even top. I can't even go with Aaron Rodgers being a top 5 quarterback anymore. Where I'm at, we're top 10.
Well, with the Packers, though, he's absolutely
I'm going
there.
Overall. So I was going to say Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, had a chance to be a top 10 quarterback overall. In my opinion, I'm still going to go with Bart Starr on that.
Okay, Bart Starr right now winning the poll. And again, NFL championships, first couple of Super Bowls. He's got the hardware.
It was a different game back in the day,
sure
obviously. But yes,
all right,
he's got the hardware.
He does. He's got the hardware. Before we take a break here this morning, and again, remind you, Recovery Room opens at 11. Matt and I will be back behind the bar for lunch. Yesterday was a surprisingly busy day. Super glad to see you all come over during what was pretty inclement weather. So that was nice. Maybe we redo that. Before we go, Foreman, according to P1 Breacher, sent him a picture of that back surgery. Foreman didn't even reach out to me yesterday. From what Breacher can tell, P12 Foreman tastefully covered up a tramp stamp with a back tattoo of Jesus, which I think is a good move. That shows you that Foreman is maturing, Matt. He's really maturing.
At least he didn't lose a leg, or some random ass stuff, or came out with a third leg. I don't know. Who knows?
If he got that third leg, he'd probably be pretty happy. He'd say it was hanging right there between, All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, I've also got to dispel a rumor that I started yesterday about Kyle Wood beating up old people, so stick around. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Hello, this is Professor Fission for Nuke and Nuke Light, the world's first nuclear beer. Brewed and nuked in 1956 and recently found in Warehouse 14. How's it still fresh, you may ask? Well, thanks to our friends Cesium-137, Stromium-90, and Plutonium-239, these beers will stay fresh for another 90 years. Not only does Nuke and Nuke Light have 10 times the kick, but you're sure to be a hit at the party because it helps your urine glow in the dark.
Nuke and Nuke Light. Pick up a case today before it melts through your grocer's floor. And Duluth Care. Yummy.
Welcome on back to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio. I'm Dave. This is Matt, owner of the Recovery Room. Trauma Center Studios powered by the Recovery Room, and the Sports Carnival also powered by my good buddy Kyle Cable at One Trust Real Estate, the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival. Sold my house in Stoddard in like 2 days, and I know it took longer than that overall because, well, you've got a 30-day closing window, but you get my point. 2 days listed, 2 different offers accepted, boom, and we move on. I can't wait to do some more real estate with Kyle. He's knowledgeable, he's trustworthy, and he's just the kind of guy that gets in the trenches with you and figures stuff out. If there's going to be an issue, you want to have somebody really, really flexible and knowledgeable. That is our good buddy Kyle Cable. Our friends over at BetUS want to remind you to get yourself a 125% free play deposit match. Go online, betus.com, and enter promo code CARNIVAL. And when you do, again, you get a 125% free play deposit match. Tonight, I'll be talking more about making bets, what bet you might want to make this upcoming weekend. On John Papadopoulos' show, The Sports Lead, ESPN 105.5. Tune in to that at 5 p.m. this evening, Matt, when I wrap up my shift downstairs. Then I come back up to the Trauma Center studios. I jump aboard with Pop, and we'll get into the throws for a gambling weekend, which will include, I should say, some NBA basketball. The Bucks are back in action tomorrow night versus the Miami Heat. Also coming up tomorrow night, the Eagles are going to be playing at home versus Whitewater. We'll talk to Kent Dernbach at 8:30. Also want to send a shout out here to our buddy Tony Russa over at Preferred Insurance. Tony stopped into the bar yesterday. This guy was having a good little, lunch with, I think it was a client, and won some money. At least his client, I think, won some money. So that was pretty cool. Tony and Brian over at Preferred Insurance, auto, home, business insurance, flood insurance, downtown La Crosse, right there on 4th Street. Thanks for your support. Sean O'Neill, the O'Neill Law Firm as well. Somebody who I've got to reach out to with some paperwork questions here. I've got a couple of things going on in my life that I need some assistance with. Sean is your family, your bankruptcy, and even criminal attorney here in La Crosse, and we appreciate his support. Yesterday, Matt, I started a pretty vicious rumor, apparently, according to Kyle Wood, that he beats up old people. And Kyle didn't want me to just leave this thing hanging out there like a fart in the wind. Okay, fine. So from what I understand, as long as Kyle is dressed up like normal Kyle Wood, which means, wearing work clothes, regular clothes, whatever.
Not hey, brother.
Yeah, he's not going to beat up an old person at all. Like, that's something that will not happen. When Kyle Wood goes full Hulk, or if he dresses up in Badger or Packer costuming, get the fuck out of this guy's way. I'm just going to say,
he's a passionate man.
He's a passionate man. I wouldn't want to fuck with him if he's in full regalia in either Wisconsin Badger, Green Bay Packer, or even Hulk Hogan gear. If in full regalia, I say steer clear. But for the most part, absolutely, completely, 100%. If you're old, you don't have to be afraid of Kyle. That's the thing. I just wanted to make sure to mention. He felt like, with friends like me, who needs enemies? And I'm like, dude, first of all, it was really funny. And second of all, I'm just telling you, don't fuck around. Kyle can get a little frisky with you.
I agree. It's just, sorry, Kyle, if we upset you. I guess there's a little sensitivity issue. We were trying to throw out a little bit of a
Kyle,
joke, and it is what it is.
Listen, I wanted to make sure that I let people know.
I like that.
He's not going to beat up an elderly person. That's just what I'm saying. Unless, again, in full regalia, then all bets are off. I don't know about those things. Rob Dog did check in here from Stoddard. What's up, Rob Dog? He says Jay Cutler is the best Packers quarterback. Lord knows he threw the ball to Green Bay enough.
Rex Grossman would be right up there with him.
That's fair. Hey, Rex Grossman and Aaron Rodgers have been to the same number of Super Bowls. I'm just letting you know.
And unfortunately, I was at the one in 2006. My older brother did get the Super Bowl ring because he was a member of the Colts. But yeah, Prince played in the Purple Rain that year.
Oh, that was Prince's year for the halftime show.
It was a hell of a Super Bowl in Miami, that's for sure.
That was, one of the greatest Super Bowl halftimes of all time.
Except when you were there.
Well,
sorry.
If you're a Bear.
It was a full-on monsoon. I was hanging out with my mom underneath we watched Prince on the TV screens next to the concession stand because I was trying to keep my mom from freezing to death because you're in Southwest Florida or Southeast Florida. It was about 40 degrees, 35 degrees. My younger brother
it's not great.
Did not make it down. Unfortunately, we had a good time in Fort Lauderdale the night before. But yeah, it was a hell of a Super Bowl. I remember it very well. Devin Hester. Unfortunately, the Bears did not pull that one off. But my brother got his ring, and I was in the Colts section, so I shouldn't say that because my brother got his bonus and he got his ring.
I was going to say.
Well, it was very difficult to be there as a lifelong Bears fan, and it was bittersweet for me. You're rooting for your older brother. You want your brother to get the ring. There was a hell of an after party. My brother got the ring. He got his bonus. That's why I don't root for professional sports anymore.
You're giving me all the reasons in which I go back to this well all the time. We don't say we with sports teams unless we get a paycheck from them.
Yep.
And as somebody who has gotten a paycheck from a sports team, I get it.
And I was saying we as a family. Like my brother was there, my family was there.
Listen,
so we were rooting for my brother Mark.
That's a we thing.
And I get stuck in that because it's not a we or me thing. It's the team, your favorite team, the team you root for. So yes, you got me.
But it is a we thing when you actually are a part of that. So I would have been as big of a Colts fan that day as any Bears fan ever could have been if it were me, only because, like you've mentioned, that was my brother. And if my brother was going to possibly win a Super Bowl ring, which he did, and get a big bonus, which he did, then I would absolutely be rooting for my brother. Now, for a Bears fan, long suffering. Bears haven't won a Super Bowl since 1985. We get it. Still one of the best defenses of all time. We'll see what they do. A lot of money to spend. Let me answer something with Thomas, though, real quick here, Matt, because he says, first of all, it's 1 week away from his birthday. Fantastic news. He also said, breaking news, Rodgers has emerged from darkness, but he did that yesterday. True. He was on the Pat McAfee show. Then Thomas says this, the 300 square foot room, which Rodgers spent his time partially underground in a structure devoid of light, had a queen bed, a bathroom, and a meditation like Matt. Thomas, how did you source your information? Or is this just tongue in cheek? I'm not sure.
I don't know either myself, because I knew he's going to, from what I understand, what I read, he was going to be in like a single bedroom, like an efficiency. I didn't know he was in a bunker, for all God. That's what it basically sounds like. He was in a bunker. How did he get his food? I have no idea where it's coming from, Thomas. Happy early birthday. But yeah, good to know, I guess.
Yeah, I think that Rodgers, if I'm reading the room correctly, underground bed, meditation mat, was probably delivered food outside of his door by some member of the staff.
Dumbwaiter? I mean, how do they an elevator? I mean, how the hell
I'm just throwing it out when you pay for that kind of experience, which I'm sure was not cheap,
and the money he has,
I'm sure that they listen. Nothing was left to imagination. Everything was taken care of for him. Rob Dog did mention this earlier this morning. Thanks, Rob Dog. I'm sure Coach Sternbach doesn't want to see this. But he says, Dave, I was stuck sleeping on the floor at Gunderson and digging out my car of like a foot of snow or something. And didn't the Eagles lose the last few times you've had Coach Sternbach on?
Well, I haven't been on the show yet.
Yes.
So maybe I can do some good luck on that. I don't know if I'm a cooler or you're the cooler, but hey, we'll figure it out.
I really felt bad about that because we've had other Eagles coaches on, Matt Janis mostly, Mike Schmidt formerly, and generally it was the Sports Carnival bump. I have felt a slight bit of responsibility. Now, maybe this is where I even harmed the team more. It wasn't just getting him on the show. It was me going to the game.
Are we going to blame you if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come to the Packers then too?
I would love to take that blame on. If I could be the guy that actually is
against you personally.
If I could be credited with that, I would be extremely excited. I mean, extremely excited. By the way, one of our 2 poll questions this morning on our Facebook group page is, who will be remembered as the greatest Packer quarterback of all time? Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, somebody else? We've also got a Rodgers focus question on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney. If the Packers move on from Rodgers, give the reins to Jordan Love, could the Packers actually make the playoffs in the coming year? Right now, 57.1% of respondents say it's a beautiful mystery. Matt, 28.6% say you betcha, 14.3% say heck no. Still plenty of time to take this morning's Sports Carnival poll question. You know, you had another question for me, however, that had nothing to do with the NFL, but a lot to do with the NBA, which again tips off, I guess, part 2 of their season, even though there's only 23 plus games left after tonight. They kick off the second half of their season ostensibly after the All-Star game or tip-off. You had a question for me about an NBA team. So what was that? Because you've been telling me, Dave, I've got an NBA question. I know you're not the NBA guy, but I am. Well, so I'll attempt to answer that.
And I love this, and I guess you know where I get some of my inspiration is from. That's the Dan Levitard and Stu Gotts show. So I'm going to ask you to be my own personal Stu Gotts and what goes into your personal record book.
Okay.
So if Kevin Durant ends up winning an NBA title with the Phoenix Suns, does he actually qualify for an NBA title in your personal opinion?
What do you mean qualify for a title?
So I mean, he's going for in your personal record book. So I'm asking you on the Stu Gotts of it.
Okay.
So he went from team to team to team. He's never won one. So when LeBron came back and won one in Cleveland,
well, he won 2 in Golden State.
Right? No, but that's my point. He won it with some of the best players in the
team
league.
That just lost the NBA Finals.
He didn't win it with the Thunder.
No,
he had to go to another team to become the next big 3. He didn't win shit in Brooklyn. We saw how that happened, and it just did not come well together at all. So now he's going from one team where he couldn't make it work with Kyrie. Now he's playing with Chris Paul, Booker, and Ayton.
Yeah.
In your personal record book, if they win the NBA title, does that qualify as a championship for Kevin Durant?
Well,
just because he wins one doesn't mean he wins one. Obviously, that's in their record book. Is it in your record book?
So I will give it to him, yes, because he will if they win the championship, which is still a big if. If they win the championship, he'll probably be a large part of why. Because the Suns couldn't get there last year. They lost to the Bucks the year before. Chris Paul's not gotten any younger, right? So if Kevin Durant and the Suns win the championship, yes, I will credit him in large part for that. Now, does that put Kevin Durant?
Where's Kevin Durant stand? That's, I guess,
in my all-time players, he becomes, as he's always going to be, one of the all-time great scorers.
Yes, sir.
Of all time, but that's it, right? Like, he's not one of my all-time, he wouldn't be in my all-time greatest player category. He's in my all-time greatest scorer category for sure. Like, Alex English is a guy that a lot of people don't remember today. Alex English, one of the greatest all-time scorers in NBA history. Guy was fantastic. Is he a great player? One of the greatest players? No. Adrian Dantley, one of the greatest scorers. Is he a great all-time player? No. I would put Kevin Durant in that category. Listen, he's really talented. I still don't know if they can get it done this year, but if they win, sure, he'll be deserving of a championship.
Well, we brought up yesterday, and we were bringing up if the Brewers would bring a championship to Milwaukee, and we also kind of got into what Giannis had brought to Milwaukee, being a Bucks fan.
Sure.
Or what he's done to the Bucks organization. He's stayed with that organization. Kevin Durant has been with what, 4, 5, 6? No.
So Seattle he started with,
Yep.
but then they moved to Oklahoma.
Yep.
So we can't count
Thunder.
that. So we'll count that as one.
Yep. And
Warriors are two. Nets are three. This is four.
So, and my point being that is the difference, I guess, is Giannis has stayed with the Bucks and he built it.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant is going around and around and around, kind of like the LeBron James thing. I just wish Kevin Durant would have stayed in one effing city and created the dynasty or the legacy that Giannis has created for himself by sticking with that one city. Because Kevin Durant has the talent to turn one city like Brooklyn, or I guess now it's Phoenix or whatever, to make that a better city.
Well, he had Oklahoma City in the finals,
Yes.
right? Like, so they went to the finals. They lost.
With Harden and Westbrook, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Serge Ibaka was on that team.
It was
Steven Adams.
Hell of talent.
It was. Really good team. You know, I don't knock him for going free agency because that's a free agent move. And you can sign. He didn't get traded. He didn't force his way out. He was a free agent, and he signed with the Warriors. Now, the idea of signing with the team that A, just beat you in the playoffs, and B, just lost in the NBA Finals that was already loaded and coming off of another championship, sort of piggybacking off of that, felt like weak sauce. Okay, it did. It felt like weak sauce. But then they go to back-to-back finals with him and win, and probably would have won that third one if he doesn't get injured. Now Kevin Durant, after that injury, is really such a broken player. He hasn't played. I mean, he missed an entire season plus and hasn't played over like 50 games, 58 games in any season since. So he's kind of a broken player in a lot of ways now, which means he already isn't going to be in my top 10 all-time NBA players.
He's one of the best pure scorers ever.
Absolutely. But what he can do to redeem any of that, to me, is, I don't know. If what you're saying is, will he ever be in the pantheon, if I'm understanding this question correctly, will he ever be in the pantheon with Magic, with Michael, with Larry, with Giannis, with, you know, any of these guys who were basically building up one franchise and organization and taking them to the promised land? And the answer is no. But he'll always be one of those really great all-time scorers. Fuck, Bernard King, one of the greatest all-time scorers. His injury problem, you know, derailed his career. He was never able to really get the most out of what it is that he could do, but he's an all-time great scorer. Dominique Wilkins is an all-time great scorer, right? Is he in my top 10 all-time players? No,
but I guess we're bringing up a lot of people that I guess generally, I still keep suffering on saying that, generational players. And I think that Kevin Durant had a chance to be he could solidify it more if he just didn't go from team to team in the NBA. And this is why I love going to you with this, because I still don't understand how one player gets drafted or traded from one team, then he gets cut just for the cap and salary. And then next thing you know, Russell Westbrook now he's playing for the Clippers. So that's one thing with the NBA I will never understand. I don't know if the majority of, I don't want to say NBA people that don't watch the Bucks really don't understand the rest of the NBA unless they're in it and they're gambling and they follow you and the knowledge that you have. So it's just very difficult to understand how these players want to go from team to team to team and not want to stick with one. As in the NBA, you only have 11, 15 guys on a roster, and it's just constantly changing. So I guess there's a respect level that I will always have for Giannis, Michael to a certain extent, obviously, Dominique, as you brought up, Larry Bird. It's the NBA has changed so much since we were kids, and now I cannot. If Durant goes out and wins this championship, Dave, I see it as the Suns winning a championship. I don't see it as Kevin Durant winning a championship, I guess.
And so I'll just push back a little bit and say that the Suns, who have never won an NBA championship,
it's a desert for championships.
They've never won an NBA championship. They've been to 3.
Charles Barkley,
that was one. They went with Chris Paul, and they went one time back in the 70s. They lost to the Celtics in that NBA championship. But the point is, if Kevin Durant goes to Phoenix, wins a championship, he will be a big reason, at least in my estimation, of why they win that championship. So I'll still give it to him. But again, I think that your general point, at least from the way I'm hearing it, is about carpetbagging and going to different teams and picking up championships. Listen, I still think he was a big reason why Golden State was able to win those back-to-back championships. And if he goes to Phoenix, which he did, and they win a championship, I feel like he will be a really, really big part of this. Look, we'll talk to Coach Kent Nernbach, a guy that probably knows more basketball than we could ever forget, in about a minute and a half. When we do, we'll ask him not only about the Eagles' big game coming up against Whitewater tomorrow at Mitchell Hall, but we'll ask him about Kevin Durant. I mean, what's his thought? Because I know that he's an NBA guy. We're all NBA guys to a degree. So we'll put that to Coach Kent Dernbach of the UWL Eagles men's basketball team when we come back. Right now, again, saying a big hello this morning, and thank you to our friend Kyle Cable at One Trust Real Estate, the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival.
Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
Hello, I am Don Francisco, and I roast and blend coffees for your pleasure and mine. My newest blend is Vanilla Nuts. The coffee so rich and so sweet, it tastes like the French Alps has dangled its in your cup of java. If you love coffee like I do, then you'll love Don Francisco's with a 135-year tradition. Because at Don Francisco's, if you're up all night, so are we.
Sports Carnival broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio, powered by the Recovery Room, wants to let you in on another big fun sweepstakes here. We have got free lunch at the Recovery Room for you to win. All you have to do is go to our Facebook group page, my Facebook page, Instagram, or Twitter at the Sports Carney. That's across social media at the Sports Carney, and you'll find out how you can register to win a free lunch at the Recovery Room. Last week we had Eagle McBride win a free lunch at the Recov. Eagle, congratulations. Thanks for participating. Again, free lunch at the Recovery Room. We'll draw the winner tomorrow morning here on air. So you've got from today right now until tomorrow morning at about 7:59 a.m. to get yourself into the running. Speaking of running, the Eagles men's basketball team, a run and gun basketball team led by Coach Kent Dernbach, are going to be playing a WIAC playoff game tomorrow night over at Mitchell Hall versus Whitewater, a team that we saw a really close and tough game with here recently at Mitchell Hall. Coach Dernbach, I'm excited about the game. I was excited about going last night, but the weather did not cooperate with any of us. So we get it postponed until Friday, 7 p.m. tip-off. The Eagles, again, going to be in action against Whitewater. We've got that up on the screen right now. Your team, 19-6. Whitewater, the Warhawks, 19-7. You're the second seed. They're the third. Coach Dernbach, it's great to have you back on. Really, really exciting season for Eagles basketball. Tell me, what was some of your favorite or one of your favorite memories about this season as the Eagles head coach?
Well, it kind of started, last year, Dave, when we made the NCAA tournament, won a first round game, and then the group that we had coming back, right? We lost three really good seniors, three starters, right? Three starters off that team, and returned, Ethan Anderson to that lineup, and then really Will Furman, who got hurt last year, and he was kind of back in our starting lineup, and then to come out at the beginning of the year and go 3-0. In that first week against three ranked teams. We played St. John's at home, who has a chance to win their league, their conference tournament. Then we went on the road and played Marietta, who makes the NCAA just about every single year. And then we beat Guilford in a neutral site game, in a championship game, 5 states away in that Marietta tournament. And that got the season going, right? That really got us started and probably got us in the conversation of like, hey, we lost 3 starters. We lost right around 40% of our minutes last year. And how can we come back from that? And for us to start that way, got us in the conversation more on a national level. And then the next thing from that, Dave, is how we recovered from an All-American Ethan Anderson going from 20 points a game at will to a young man that's battling through 4 different injuries, 3 different partial tears in different tendons and labrums all around his body, to be a team that has to learn how to play and score the basketball without an All-American that's playing at his best. And he's given us his all, but he's a young man that's coming off the bench for us now and doing a great job for it. But we've kind of had to reinvent ourselves to a degree, during the season, where we had to trust one another rather than relying on one guy to go and give us 20. And that's challenging to do in any league and any schedule, but certainly is a challenge, was a challenge for us this year, and really proud of our guys, how they responded.
Yeah, this Eagles team has been wrought with different kinds of adversity, and yet seemingly, Coach, at least from my perspective, you guys have been able to weather these storms on a weekly basis. You mentioned Ethan Anderson. When I was in attendance at that Whitewater game, the kid wasn't even shooting right-handed in the warm-up drills. He was going all with his left.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure that he would even play this game. Coach Craig Cole of the Onalaska Hilltoppers comes in. He sits down next to me, and we're watching Ethan work this basketball up and down the court when he does come off the bench. And I tell you, the respect that he gains, I would imagine, from his teammates and his opponents for being able to play through this is amazing. And he's still an effective ball player. He's not exactly like you mentioned, the 20-point-a-game scorer, but he's still an effective ball player. The guy that we're showing here on the screen right now, Austin Wester, is another one that if Eagles fans, haven't been down to Mitchell Hall, seen a game yet, are really going to appreciate. This kid's another, partially local talent, right? There's been a lot of folks that since high school remember Austin from this area. His game has developed so tremendously since he began with you guys. Let's talk a little bit about him and what he means to the program.
Yeah, he came out right away. And last year, he led us in plus minus, just didn't get quite as many minutes because he was playing behind Wyatt Cook, who was the conference player of the year 2 years ago. So he came out and he made a statement right away in that opening week. And his game has continued to develop, where not only is he a competitor, right? We have some competitors. He's a great competitor, but he's someone that had to learn how to handle that competitiveness, right? You look at him, and you're like, wow, could I be gifted with that body? Right? Because he's out there, and he could certainly move some construction blocks and do a whole lot of really good things. And he got accepted into our physical therapy program here at UWL. He's going to be a success in that. Luckily, we have him back for one more year because of it. But his game has continued to grow to not only be like that bull in a china shop down low. That's what he maybe was his first few years, to be in a big man that is really, really good in motion offense. He can pass it well. He can handle a little bit, can step out to three, and just overall, just a consistent performer. You know what you're going to get out of Austin every single day in practice and every single game. Now, does that mean every shot's going to go in? No, that's not the case, but you know what you're going to get out of him. And when you have guys like that in your program, you can sleep a little bit better at night as a coach, because it's consistency that wins, right? It's guys that come in and day out. If they're a little sick, if they got a test, if they got something going on, what are you going to get out of that young man? And with Austin, it's the same thing every single day. And it's why probably is the number one reason why we've been able to withstand some of the adversity that you talked about, Dave, this year is him stepping up. It hasn't come out yet. I can't imagine he's going to be a first team all conference player for us. And when he's on the court, we're pretty darn good. And in the games that we've lost, tight ones, he's been in foul trouble. So we have to make sure he has to do a good job doing his work early so we can keep him on the floor, because we're certainly a better basketball team when he's out there. And I'm a heck of a lot smarter when he's out there.
Well, you're a heck of a smart coach, and I just love watching you and your energy actually up and down the sidelines. And if you're an Eagles fan that, is looking for a good time on Friday night, let's all make our way to Mitchell Hall. I think the weather's going to cooperate from what we can tell now. And this Whitewater team is no joke. I mentioned the last time you guys played at Mitchell Hall, this was a really competitive ball game right up until the final seconds. I also told our audience members, Coach Sternbach, that Whitewater's got a lot of size. There's a 7'1" guy that gets no minutes right now for this Whitewater team. That's how deep they are. So I'm assuming that Austin's going to have to be at his best, like you've mentioned, because he's basically one of your bigger guys. When we talk about Whitewater, and you guys are looking at a game plan for how you're going to take them down. Again, you being the 2 seed, them being the 3. What do you think are one or two of the most important things to ensure a victory for the Eagles and help you go on to the second round of the WIAC tournament?
Yeah, it's really our defensive philosophy, and that's protecting our shell. They're going to try to throw the ball inside to those big guys that you talked about, and we have to do a good job of making it challenging to throw it in. So maybe if they throw it in, they're throwing it in later in the possession rather than early in the possession in the first 10 seconds. And then they have a couple guards that are dynamic. Jameer Barker from Racine St. Cat's won a state title, and then a freshman who is a heck of a player, 6'3", 6'4", Barnstable from Howard's Grove that is definitely going to win Freshman of the Year and is probably going to be a first-team all-conference player as a freshman. And those guys can attack the paint off the dribble. And that's what you would expect playing good basketball teams, right? You're not going to get to a semifinal in this league and not have a play against a complete team. And Whitewater is a complete team. It's a program that's won 4 national championships. They're going to have multiple all-conference players, and it's going to be a great battle. I mean, we're not going to get away from them. They're not going to get away from us. They're going to try to pressure us and take us out of our game a little bit offensively. We need to do a better job handling that. We're also a little healthier than the last time we played them. Last time we played Luke Schwartzoff from La Crescent, just across the river. La Crescent couldn't go because he was injured, and Max Siebert from Fond du Lac, he couldn't go because he had the flu. So those are our 2 backup bigs that we play with, and they're going to give us a little bit more depth, if we happen to get into foul trouble. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a man's game. Right. For a lack of a better term, no disrespect to anything else, but it's going to be one hell of a basketball game and in a physical game, and a lot's on the line. We probably have to get it if we want to continue to obviously advance in the WIAC tournament, but to make our 3rd postseason in the last 4. And same thing with them. They need to advance if they want to make an NCAA tournament. And that's what's so different about Division III, Dave, is people that don't follow Division III, Wisconsin, we're probably the 2nd best league in the country this year. Most often we're number 1. This year we're probably number 2, maybe number 3. But in those leagues, you finish in the top 5, you're in the NCAA tournament, right? I mean, Wisconsin, I don't know what they are, like 8th or 9th, and they're in the NCAA tournament. We finished in the top 2 here, clearly in the top 2, and we're on the bubble to make the NCAA tournament. That's how challenging it is to get in. There's 100 more schools in Division III, and there's 18 less spots to get an at-large bid. So it's awesome. If fans come out, they're going to see 2 teams that are going to be playing their butt off out there, and the intensity is going to be phenomenal, and hopefully our crowd can match that.
Well, we're going to be in attendance. At least I'm speaking for the Royal We. I don't know if I can get Matt to step away from the Recov on a Friday night, but I would like to go. Foreman, one of our good buddies right now, is in the neuroscience unit at Gunderson. He's a former military man, had a big surgery. He says he wishes he could go. And Thomas from UW says that he can't make it. He's got a cabaret style performance, but says good luck, Eagles. Listen, this is one of those watches, the Eagles men's basketball team at Mitchell Hall, that I've been trying to tell everybody that I can about. That's so exciting. And I think that if you're a Badger basketball fan, you're going to really be impressed with what you see with this Eagles team, because no disrespect, because I know it's a different style of game, but you play a faster paced game. There's more up and down action. There's a lot more motion than there seems to be from some Badger teams, which, again, different style. I get it. Yeah. Different ways of approaching the game, but it's a fun watch. So if you're just a fan of Wisconsin sports, come out and join us on Friday. 7:00 again is going to be the tip over at Mitchell Hall. Now, I've got to get you to weigh in on something that Maddie had brought up to me, and I'm not sure how you're going to land on this, but it's about Kevin Durant going to the Suns, and if he wins a championship with the Suns, would this, and maybe you've already got a set opinion on where Kevin Durant ranks in your all-time, basketball players in NBA history list, but if he wins a championship with the Suns, will that do anything to move the needle for you with respect to Kevin Durant and how you may view him and how you think maybe basketball historians will view him in the future?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I kind of relate it back to our team, is we build our guys with 4-year players. 99% of our guys are 4-year players or guys that we recruit. So then when you accomplish something, it's genuine and pure, and everybody's on board with it, right? Where you just get that feeling of, oh my golly, they built it from the ground up. They didn't go to the transfer portal and bring in 3 guys and pick them off other teams. And that kind of relates a little bit to Durant, where he can win, and that's a championship, and it's great things. But would anybody put him in front of Giannis, who built it organically and him and Middleton just kept grinding and grinding and grinding. And maybe that means Durant gets his third and Giannis finishes with one, in the long run with it. And three's a lot more than one. But there's just something about that one that makes it special. And I just think we're like the general fan, when they're looking at that stuff, they look at that team, they look at that individual that was able to do it where they were at. And now you got to have the support. You got to have the support around, and Giannis has had that. But there's just something special about doing it where you got drafted, or doing it in that first one or two original clubs rather than going somewhere else. And that doesn't take anything away from, as Matt's point, like, Phoenix hasn't won anything. So isn't that a little bit organic if Durant goes out there and wins one? But he's joining Booker, right? He's joining Paul. He's joining Ayton. It's a pretty darn good basketball club that they have there. So I don't think it changes anything at all in how people view him. Not that he cares, right? Probably not that he cares. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, and those 3 rings are going to feel pretty good if he'd get it. But there's just something special about how Giannis did it, and that kind of story.
And Coach, I appreciate that and everything else. I agree with you 100%. I guess my thing with going forward, and I guess you already answered my question that I was already going to ask you. I guess Giannis is organically, and that's probably the best way to put it. I guess if I can throw this back a different way, and I'm going to go back to the game for this Friday tomorrow. And I'm not going to try to get into football too much, because when the Packers and the Bears play each other and then they go in the playoffs, and it's not very often that 2 teams play each other 3 times in a year. So obviously you played Whitewater twice. Yeah. And without giving your strategy away and going forward, is this a harder game to prepare for or an easier game to prepare for because you've already faced them twice?
Yeah, well, they're different than we played them the first week in December. Okay, so that was our first conference game. I believe it was actually November the 30th. And now then we played them, obviously a few weeks back in here. So like we're different. We're a different team. The first time we played them, we had Ethan, right? And he was healthy. The first time we played them, they were just learning themselves. So it's kind of like we've only played each other 2 times, right? This will be our second time. And we know what they do. They know what we do. And now it just comes down to like who can do those little things a little bit better. So it's more challenging that way. They're talented, we're talented, and it's harder because you're a little bit more, you're sleepless at night as a coach, because it's the littlest detail. And in basketball, it comes down to like what team makes probably the least amount of mistakes. We're going to make plays, they're going to make plays. We have to make sure that we don't piss the ball away, and that leads to 7 points off turnovers for them, because that's the difference in the game. Right. It's those little things that are so important.
I guess, Coach, do you feel it's harder on you being this, what you're calling the second time around, or is it harder on the players? Because I think obviously you had some players that were sick, players that are in or out. So for you, do you feel it's more on you as the coaching staff, or the kids have to just go with what you're telling them?
Yeah, well, if we win, the guys did one hell of a job, and it's all on them. And if we drop, I'm an idiot, and I couldn't get our guys to execute a game plan a little bit better, to be honest with you. I mean, like, we know each other well. We got to show up, right? Our staff has to show up, our players have to show up, and have to be able to make some big plays down the stretch. And somebody's going to have to be able to step up to make those plays either offensively or defensively. But I have no doubt our guys are going to be prepared. We got out toughed on our home floor the last time. Hey, I'm an honest guy, right? If we're honest in the recruiting process with our team, we got out toughed on our home floor here 2 weeks ago. Offensively and defensively, they got into our stuff. We turned the ball over for the most times the entire season, and they pounded us inside, both off the dribble and throwing the ball inside. And we need to be a tougher basketball team on our home court, and I expect that we will.
Well, I will just leave the conversation about that last game with this for those that weren't in attendance. Despite all of that, the Eagles were in this basketball game until the final seconds of the game. Yeah. So as much as Whitewater wanted to pile on, there was no quit in your team. And that's something that I think from a fan's perspective, we can relate to your coaching and your coaching staff's style with this team, because you can tell, how much that buy-in really does affect the play on the court. Again, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. tip-off over at Mitchell Hall. Tickets are basically, just given away at $10 a piece. Come on down, see this Eagles basketball team. I'll be over there, Coach. Hopefully we get a chance to take a picture. If not, I'll just be snapping something of you from afar, and we'll stomp our feet. We'll make some noise for this Eagles team. Again, let's see if we can't get you guys into that next round. And then from that point, you really have the national folks have to start really paying attention at that point, because this WIAC conference is still, right up there, and they're going to have to take notice. So I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm glad that you came back on with us today, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Really do. Thanks.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon. Go Eagles. And we'll be right back here on the Sports Carnival.
Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices.
Well, welcome back to the Sports Carnival. We'll start to get used to these little hand signals like,
hey, buddy. Well, when I'm looking at you instead of behind you, we'll get better, my friend.
Thanks so much to Coach Kent Dernbach of the UWL men's basketball team for joining us this morning. I just love Coach Dernbach, and I love this Eagles men's team. I've been to a couple of games this year over at Mitchell Hall, and like I said, and this is no knock against the Wisconsin Badgers, because I hope you guys know that I really pull for the Badgers. By the way, did Wisconsin win last night?
Yes, they pulled it off.
Oh, sweet. Thank God, because I was watching that game. Full transparency, I passed out at about 9:30. I was just beat. It was a long day. It was a fun day. I was tired, man. I was tired at the end of the day, and we're still coming off a fairly epic weekend. And at this particular point in my life, 42 years old, it takes me a couple of days to rebound from those epic nights. So I was watching the game last night. Very close, very tough competition. I'm glad to hear that the Badgers won. But the Eagles team, I'm just going to tell you, is a lot more fast-paced than the Badgers. It's a lot more fast-paced of a basketball game.
I agree with you on that. Obviously, the Badgers are hard to watch. I think it might be something for us to put on the poll, is what team is going to represent Wisconsin best when it comes to the tournament, whether or not what Badgers make it. But obviously we have Marquette.
We do.
University of Milwaukee, I believe, might even make it too. So I have a feeling Marquette's going to make it a little bit further than the Badgers possibly.
You know what? Possibly, but it depends on where they get seated, right?
True.
Like if Wisconsin makes the tournament, which I'm still bullish that they are. I know that Matty Ice, who was over there playing bingo with us on Monday, made a bet with me that they would not make the March Madness tournament. He's like, they're an NIT team at best. I told him I didn't believe that. And I think that with Wisconsin's win, I know they had a tough loss to Rutgers over the weekend, but with that win last night, and they've got a couple of really important games coming up. I know Purdue is still on the schedule coming up.
Twice, I believe.
Minnesota's still on the schedule. If they do well to finish out the Big Ten regular season and they have a decent showing in the Big Ten conference tournament, I think Wisconsin's a lock to be in. But to your point about who represents them best, I would like to say Marquette right now because I love this team.
I have more trust in Shaka than I do in Greg Gard.
Well, not just Greg Gard and Shaka, but do you see those fucking athletes for Marquette?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's a way different size.
They're fast. It's more fun to watch than the Badgers. That's 100% in my opinion.
It's
like
a completely different game. And so I saw this Creighton line the other night. By the way, I'll be back on with John Papadopoulos 5 o'clock tonight on ESPN 105.5. Making my play of the week. I saw this line the other night, and I told you I just kicked myself right in the nuts for not making it. So Creighton was 5.5-point favorites against Marquette. Creighton was number 19 in the country. Marquette was number 10 when they tipped off. And I knew Marquette was definitely not going to lose by more than 6 points, 5 points.
Right now, brother. Yep.
And they ended up winning that game. And I was just so upset because I thought that was free money that I could have just made hanging out there. And again, free money at BetUS, if you haven't signed up yet, is there for the taking. 125% deposit match. All you have to do is use the promo code Carnival, and you see that scrolling along the bottom of your screen. Use the promo code Carnival and get yourself that 125% free play deposit match. But I love Marquette. I obviously am very affectionate for the University of Wisconsin. We've got our own lacrosse native, Jordan Davis, that's playing for that team. I met a couple of his teammates at Oktoberfest this year. Tons of fun. Kyle Wood nearly beat up, but didn't beat up an elderly person on Oktoberfest, but didn't. Okay, Kyle, I want to let you know you didn't. You kept it in the pocket, all right? There was no beating up of an old person on Oktoberfest. Now, a couple of weeks after, did we almost get in a scuffle? Yes, but he wasn't elderly. He was just middle-aged, like myself.
Downtown, though.
That was a couple of weeks later.
That's
and that was just it was a middle-aged person, not an elderly person. So middle-aged people like me, watch the fuck out. All right. I'm just going to tell you, if you're old, you're probably cool. But if you're middle-aged, just be careful. Either way, I love the Badgers. Love to see what they can do. I think Marquette's obviously the more talented overall team. But see, this is where I go back to the Wisconsin Badgers making it into the NCAA tournament. They have a win against Marquette this year. I know it was early on this season, but Wisconsin's got a couple of like pretty quality wins on their resume. They really do. And that win against Marquette, that ages better as Marquette keeps getting better throughout the season. That win
I agree
looks
with you on
better.
that. They just have a lot of shitty losses.
That's fair. That's fair too. They have a lot of shitty losses. Well, we're going to be in attendance. At least I'm hoping when I say we, the Royal, we, the audience, will be in attendance and showing some support for this Eagles basketball team and Coach Sternbach this Friday, 7 p.m. again over at Mitchell Hall. Now, tomorrow on the program, I haven't asked him about this yet, Matt, but tomorrow on the program, I want to get former Eagle and also smart sports bettor, big-time basketball fan. His dad used to be the coach of the Eagles men's basketball team, Kenny Cable. I want to get Kyle Cable back on the show. We've had Kyle on once before, and he was awesome. Kyle's also an aspiring and up-and-coming official, and I believe next season he'll be doing more active participation in D3 officiating. He's doing football right now. But I want to talk to him about the Eagles game. Also want to take his temperature on some of the big bets that may be coming down the pike because we are getting close to March Madness. We've got XFL football week 2, which is going to kick off tonight. Matt, I was curious, did you get a list of all the XFL quarterbacks? Because we were sort of rattling off names earlier, and I was surprised to hear some of the names that are actually in this year's XFL. I haven't been keeping too close attention, paying too close attention to this, if I can be frank.
Yeah, I honestly didn't get to all of them. I just going by the past leaders right now. So you and I brought up Ben DiNucci yesterday.
Sure.
He had a cup of coffee in the NFL.
Sure did.
Brandon Silvers played really well for the Roughnecks. I enjoyed watching that game. It was one of the few games that I was able to watch almost the entirety of. Luis Perez, who is also, I think he's 2 times in the XFL. He had a cup of coffee, I believe, with the Falcons. Jack Cohn, Wisconsin Notre
Badger,
Dame.
played
Wisconsin Notre Dame. Yep.
Where's he playing?
He is with the Brahma Bulls.
So did he start the other night?
He went 25 for 36, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
That's really good.
So he didn't have that bad of a game yet. AJ McCarron, who's better known for his wife.
Yes. He won a national championship in Alabama.
Did he or did the team win one?
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. It's not Kevin Duranting this thing.
I'm sorry. I believe Brett Musburger lost that championship. Sorry to bring that up there because of AJ McCarron's wife.
He did, dude. That's funny.
Paxton Lynch has already been benched by the Guardians.
That guy's so bad.
Which is funny because thanks once again to Dan Levitard and Stu Gatz. Paxton Lynch has now been benched in every professional football league.
NFL, CFL, XFL.
And
because he didn't play in the USFL, though.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Wow.
Arena football maybe next. That's coming back.
Wow.
So if you really want to talk football, brother, we got arena football coming back.
The Omaha Beef, anybody?
Might as well, yeah.
Let's
see
go.
What they got. We have Jordan Tamu.
Tawamu. Yes.
Tawamu.
Yep.
And then Derek King and Steve Montez, who I'm not familiar with. And Steve Montez is the starting quarterback for the Sea Dragons out in Seattle. So we'll see how that goes forward.
And the Seattle Sea Dragons, they are playing today. That's actually going to be the kickoff game today, I think. We've got the XFL Week 2 kicking off tonight. Seattle is going to be one of the 2 teams that will be playing. I'm trying to see who the other team was that they're going to be playing right now. We'll bring this up. While we're getting this pulled up here, no, that's good. While we're getting this pulled up again, a reminder that we do have a free lunch to give away to the recovery room. All you have to do is go to our Facebook group page, my Facebook page, Twitter at the Sports Carney, or Instagram at the Sports Carney, and you'll see the link that you have to follow. Now you have to engage with it just a little bit. You've got to go to YouTube, you've got to go to our Facebook group page, and you've got to go to our Twitter feed. But if you do those, you're going to get entries. Now, each of those places, you don't have to do all of them, but each of those places gives you an entry to win the free lunch. Now, Eagle McBride won last week, and one of the reasons that he won was he did all of the things that we asked. He went to our Facebook page, went to our Instagram feed, went to our YouTube page. This week, like I've mentioned, it's Facebook, it's YouTube, it's Twitter that we want you to go to. But each of those different spots that you land on there gives you another entry into the free lunch. And we'll draw that, as I've mentioned, tomorrow morning right here on the show. So we'll have that live.
I'm just going to throw it out there. What we're doing is a $20 gift card for everybody. So you can come and get lunch, and you can also get a beer too, depending on what you order. And what we're going to do is have a gift card for you behind the bar, and you have up to 6 months to use it.
Yes.
So come in and check us out.
I can't wait. And today, again, 11 o'clock, we're opening up at the Recov. Matt, I'll be back behind the bar. It was a busy day yesterday, and we've got great food specials. We have got, I believe it's prime rib today.
Prime rib and
Euros, spicy and traditional. Choice of sides on both of these. And again, a really good hang, especially if you're going to play a little hooky because it's snowing outside. I know we had a lot of schools closed yesterday. Saw some educators come down to the Recov. Had some other folks that were very excited they didn't have to go in, which, hey, made our day pretty fun.
And hopefully you didn't have to dig out too much this morning. But if your back hurts, we'll have some coffee, hot chocolate for you as well. We'll get you ready.
All right, guys and gals, thanks so much for participating with us here. Jeremy P12 Foreman, I'll be reaching out to you a little bit later. Glad to see your name pop up and glad to know that you made it out well. Also, be curious to see if you could share with us that new Jesus tat you got to replace your tramp stamp on the back. Have a good day, guys. We'll see you in the morning.